豬豬
跟住我去講而家英文或者普通話聽下。我英文我哋聽。
喂 ，XI 師兄可以試下3條聲。有入咗去。
英文啊 ，This is English。Hello。好好，英文嚟嘅。跟住咧 ，OK 啊。好 ，OK， 聽到你啦，而家。英文。廣東話啦。
廣東話可以，唔該。普通話唔該。普通話着緊。啱晒，唔該。Here, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 A、B 有齊，好。
因為第一次話要啲嘅上網要上邊個你後尾就知啦，因為政府通知啦，自己有份認先知。
但係你有得兩個啦，
係啊，第一 round 就好清楚啦，佢個名讀晒名，第二 round 就話 RD 嘅上嚟啦咁就一定會愕然嘅大家。
我睇到佢哋影相係 rise 有第一排，
係啊，
但係第二排嗰啲人喎。係啦，我哋之後第一排嗰啲咧，係，
即係 fix。右轉。
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Olivia Kong, member of the Standing Committee on External Affairs of the Law Society of Hong Kong. My partner today is Neville Jiang, Vice Chairman of the Greater Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Law Society of Hong Kong's 4th Belt and Road Conference titled Global Recovery and Harmony through the Belt and Road Initiative. Please make your way to your seats as the conference will begin shortly. Simultaneous interpretations in English, Cantonese, and Putonghua are available for this conference. Please collect the headset at the help desk at the entrance if needed. Thank you.
大会为大家准备了英语、广东话和普通话的翻译。如果有需要的话，请到大会入口的服务台领取翻译机。谢谢。 Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The opening ceremony of the conference is about to begin. Simultaneous interpretation in English, Cantonese, and Putonghua is available. Participants joining the conference virtually may choose your preferred language from the interpretation icon at the bottom of the Zoom platform. As for guests attending in person, you may collect the headset at the help desk at the entrance if needed. We would like to request your kind cooperation to switch all your electronic and mobile devices to silent or vibrate mode. Please note that flash photography is not allowed during the opening ceremony.
Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Olivia Kong, member of the Standing Committee on External Affairs of the Law Society of Hong Kong. My partner today is Neville Zhang, Vice Chairman of the Greater China Legal Affairs Committee. It is our honor to be the MC today. On behalf of the Law Society of Hong Kong, we would like to welcome you all to the 4th Belt and Road Conference, which is incorporated into the Hong Kong Legal Week. Our heartfelt thanks to the Department of Justice.
The Law Society of Hong Kong has been organizing an international Belt and Road Conference in Hong Kong since 2017 to serve as a platform for professional exchanges among legal practitioners. This year, under the theme, Global Recovery and Harmony through the Belt and Road Initiative, the 4th Belt and Road Conference aims to explore how the Belt and Road Initiative speeds up the worldwide collaboration and revival in light of the unprecedented changes happening around the world in recent years.
With delight, the conference today is well received with over 660 legal practitioners, as well as representatives from government bodies, regulators, lawyers associations, and other sectors from 24 jurisdictions. Today, we are honored to have with us Mr. Liu Guangyuan, Commissioner, Office of the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Mr. Liu Chunhua, Director General of Department of Law, Liaison Office of the Central People's Government in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. The Honorable Teresa Zhang Yuehua, GBM, GBS, SC, JP, Secretary for Justice of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. And Mr. C.M. Chen, President of the Law Society of Hong Kong. And fellow representatives from lawyers' associations, as well as legal elites, business leaders, and professionals from all over the world to share their insights on this ever-growing initiative.
Without further ado, may we now first invite Mr. C.M. Chan to extend a warm welcome to our fellow participants. Mr. Chan, please.
Mr. Liu Guangyuan, Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China in the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Mr. Liu Chunhua, Director General of Legal Affairs Department, Liaison Office of the People's Republic of China in Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, the Honorable Ms. Teresa Chang, Secretary for Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me extend a very warm welcome to all of you to the Law Society's 4th Belt and Road Conference. Over almost 2 years, many countries and regions have struggled with unprecedented challenges and disruptions arising from the pandemic. Amid these difficult times, we are faced with a rising protectionism and heightened geopolitics. As a result, different parts of the world have experienced certain fallouts economically or diplomatically. The Belt and Road Initiative, BRI in short, with its emphasis on jointly creating an open, inclusive, and balanced regional economic cooperation architecture that benefits all, is more important than ever. That's because it offers not only a mindset, but also a practical framework for global connectivity, convergence, and collaboration. The theme of this year's conference, Global Recovery and Harmony through the Belt and Road Initiative, has rightly highlighted these imperatives in the current global circumstances. As a global initiative, BRI bears the ambition to promote the connectivity of Asian, European, and African continents and the adjacent seas, establish and strengthen partnerships among the countries along the Belt and Road. Remarkably, BRI includes 1/3 of the world trade and GDP, and over 60% of the world's population. To achieve this ardent ambition, lawyers, we play a key role in offering a wide range of skills needed to augment the development of commercial activities, completing contractual obligations and transactions, facilitating the flow of investments and advising entrepreneurs on viable business solutions. This Belt and Road Conference was inaugurated 4 years ago. It is the first and foremost conference of its kind dedicated to exploring opportunities and discussing solutions for challenges brought by the BRI for the legal profession. The conference has now successfully grown into a capacity building and cooperation platform for legal practitioners around the world to exchange views and explore opportunities for collaboration, thereby contributing to fostering regional and international connectivity and cooperation for mutual benefits. Last year's conference, at the height of the pandemic, was held as a virtual event. With the easing of the public health situation and our natural orientation towards in-person connection, I'm pleased that this year's conference can be held in hybrid mode. Distinguished guests, speakers, and participants on site in Hong Kong and online locally and from around the world can come together again to collaborate and inspire each other. Under the one country, two systems, Hong Kong enjoys the dual advantages of being an integral part of China, but at the same time, we have our own economic, social, and legal systems. Legally, Hong Kong is the only common law jurisdiction within China, administering a legal system that is familiar to the international business community. Needless to say, the well-established rule of law underpins Hong Kong's success. The development of Hong Kong as an international financial hub has been well supported by a robust legal system and a fair, transparent, reputable, independent judiciary over the years. One of the testimonies to the standing of Hong Kong remaining as an international city is the presence of foreign judges on our Court of Final Appeal. Lord Sumption a former justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom, is one of those overseas non-permanent judges. Let me cite what he has said about the confidence in Hong Kong's judicial independence and the rule of law. He wrote in a British newspaper earlier this year, and I quote, "The permanent judiciary of Hong Kong is completely committed to judicial independence and the rule of law. Successive Chief Justices have made this clear in public statements. These statements are not just a lip service. They represent the convictions of experienced, courageous, and independent-minded judges." Here are more facts that speak for themselves. Hong Kong has been at the forefront of international rankings related to the rule of law and judicial independence. We have been able to maintain a high rank and improve in related indicators, and are comparable to or have even surpassed other common law jurisdictions in many aspects. For instance, Hong Kong is ranked third in the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report 2019. Hong Kong's unique role in BRI is further secured by the National 14th Five-Year Plan and the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area Outline Development Plan, which explicitly support Hong Kong as the center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the Asian Pacific region. Hong Kong's legal professionals can play the role of intermediaries to facilitate international and mainland China investors to go in or out of the Greater Bay Area cities. Reputably, Hong Kong lawyers are well trained to provide a wide range of legal services covering capital markets, banking and finance, cross-border mergers and acquisitions, compliance measures, and lastly, but not least, dispute resolution. The legal services in Hong Kong can therefore provide a one-stop shop for businesses interested in investing in the Greater Bay Area and along the Belt and Road route. As president of the Law Society of Hong Kong, I am proud that our legal community, established over a century ago, has grown into a 12,000-strong professional body. Among those qualified solicitors, there are almost 1,500 registered foreign lawyers from 34 different jurisdictions around the world. Adding diversity to the range of legal services to cater for the needs of local and international clients. Today's conference features government, business, financial leaders across the world to share their insights on practical and forward-looking topics, ranging from the opportunities and challenges of ongoing initiatives and plans under the BRI, practical guidance for lawyers on how to help businesses to navigate geopolitical risks, to how best to strengthen effectiveness of dispute resolution mechanisms applicable in the BRI jurisdictions. Before I conclude, on behalf of the Law Society of Hong Kong, I must express once again my sincere gratitude to the Department of Justice of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region for letting us organize this conference as part of their Legal Week 2021, which is a renowned legal event of the year that reinforces Hong Kong as the leading international legal, deal-making, and dispute resolution center in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. Lastly, I'm sure you will fully enjoy and benefit from today's conference, and I wish you all good health and abundant prosperity. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. Please be seated.
May we now invite the Honorable Teresa Jiang Yue-Hua, GBM, GBS, SC, JP, Secretary for Justice of the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, to give her opening remarks. Ms. Jiang, please.
Mr. Liu Guangyun, Mr. Liu Chunhua, Mr. CM Chen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to join you today at the Law Society's 4th Belt and Road Conference. It is also particularly worthy of mention that this is the first time that the Law Society has brought this very important event to join part of the Hong Kong Legal Week event. And I think this is a clear manifestation of the spirit of the Belt and Road Initiative, a public-private partnership. And I hope that this will continue. The Belt and Road Initiative is a grand vision to build a community with a shared future for mankind, which is the world's largest platform for open and inclusive international cooperation. Over the past 8 years, cooperation agreements were signed with 140 countries under the Belt and Road Initiative. The Belt and Road Initiative is compatible with the principles of the United Nations Charter, in particular in affirming the equal rights of all nations. The spirit behind the Belt and Road Initiative can be encapsulated as follows: the promotion of win-win cooperation, common development and prosperity, peace and cooperation, openness and inclusiveness, and mutual understanding and trust. These are the very aim of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, providing a shared blueprint for mankind to achieving a better and more sustainable future. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals under the 2030 Agenda aim to address global challenges, and their implementation requires active cooperation among different stakeholders in the global, regional, and national levels. China has taken a proactive role in integrating and implementing the implementation of SDGs with its own national development strategy, translating each target of the 17 SDGs into action plans with the overarching approach of innovative, coordinated, green, open, and shared development. The SDGs are interconnected with the rule of law being a pillar for its successful implementation. In particular, Goal 16 aims to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. In response to the 2030 Agenda, especially Goal 16, the Department of Justice officially launched a 10-year visionary initiative, Vision 2030 for Rule of Law, in 2020, aiming to build and maintain a fair and rule-based society underpinned by the rule of law through collaboration with stakeholders towards sustainable development for all. 2030 is referred to the initiative to demonstrate our support for the 2030 Agenda. Under Vision 2030, there have been various capacity-building events for the international and local community, covering a wide array of topics, including today's conference. Besides, there will be a rule of law signature engagement event entitled A Journey of Transformation for a Sustainable Future Tomorrow, which will introduce Vision 2030's initiatives that aim to facilitate study on the proper understanding of how the rule of law is practiced and how to bring into play the uniqueness of different jurisdictions, including culture, socio-economic elements, and legal traditions. Please do join us and participate in the discussions tomorrow. COVID-19 brought tremendous challenges to us. Fortunately, global economic recovery is now gaining momentum. As President Xi remarked, the right approach to tackling global crisis and realizing long-term development is through greater connectivity, openness, and inclusiveness. The Belt and Road Initiative is an all-inclusive initiative driving the world to recover amidst COVID-19. In the first half of 2020, China-Europe freight trips rose 36%, transporting 3.67 million pieces of anti-pandemic materials to European countries. Overseas Chinese workers are also working with their local counterparts to expedite the construction of worldwide landmark projects. The Belt and Road Initiative is also crucial in combating the pandemic and stabilizing global supply and industrial chains. The digital Silk Road is a key facet to the Belt and Road Initiative in facilitating global recovery, which aims to improve access to high-speed internet, lower market barriers to international e-commerce, and minimize the digital divide, all of which are gaining importance in the post-COVID era. In May 2020, Premier Li promised to accelerate the construction of 5G networks and data centers. China has also taken a leading role with 6G's patent applications, accounting for 40.3% of the world total, outweighing the US and Japan. The Belt and Road Initiatives facilitates the international promotion of the rule of law, as well as peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. We hope that Vision 2030, which aims to reach out to both the local and international communities, striving to contribute to the sustainable development of inclusive, sustainable, and fair societies, will be able to complement this national policy. Since its inception, the Belt and Road Initiative has always followed the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, which provides a platform for international cooperation characterized by equality, mutual benefit, openness, inclusiveness, and transparency, paving the way for international legal cooperation. Efforts had been actively made by different stakeholders of the Belt and Road Initiative to effectively resolve trade and investment disputes with an aim to build a sound, fair, and inclusive business environment for the Belt and Road in accordance with the rule of law. Both the 14th Five-Year Plan and the Greater Bay Area Outline Development Plan explicitly support Hong Kong as the center for international legal and dispute resolution services in the Asia-Pacific region, demonstrating staunch support from the Central People's Government. This is complemented by Hong Kong's mature and robust legal system and legal infrastructure, together with its independent judiciary, a strong culture of rule of law, as well as its legal and dispute resolution talents. Hong Kong is the only common law jurisdiction within China. Hong Kong's common law system has a history of 150 years with ample legal precedents, and our cases are frequently cited in overseas jurisdiction, demonstrating the quality of our judiciary and legal system. Hong Kong has been continuously ranked among the top 5 preferred seats for arbitration globally since 2015, according to the international arbitration surveys conducted by Queen Mary University of London. This year, Hong Kong is ranked as the 3rd most preferred seat for arbitration, surpassing Paris. Hong Kong is also the world's leading deal-making hub, being ranked as the world's top IPO venue in 7 of the past 12 years. In the securities market, the average daily turnover for the first 6 months of 2021 was 188.2 billion Hong Kong dollars, representing an increase of 60% when compared with the 117.5 billion Hong Kong dollars for the same period in 2020. Additionally, there has been a steady rise in total deposits in our banking system, which had reached 14.86 trillion Hong Kong dollars by the end of May 2021. The pandemic has caused significant disruptions to the international supply chain and the loss of business due to social distancing and other anti-epidemic measures. When face-to-face dispute resolution has been rendered almost impossible under the pandemic, there is a pressing need for businesses, especially micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, to have their disputes resolved in a time-efficient and cost-effective manner. IBREM Center was established in Hong Kong in 2018 to develop a platform for online dispute resolution, ODR, and deal-making, leveraging on the latest technologies, including artificial intelligence, blockchain, etc., aiming to provide a one-stop platform for international commercial parties. The IBREM Center recently launched the APAC Online Dispute Resolution Procedural Rules, tailor-made for the APAC Collaborative Framework for ODR of cross-border business-to-business disputes, which aims to provide a fast and affordable resort to commercial disputes among the APAC economies to micro, small, and medium enterprises through the use of electronic communications and other information technology. IBREM Center will seek to become an ODR service provider for APAC countries under the APAC ODR framework. Recently, the Inclusive Global Legal Innovation Platform on ODR, IGLIP on ODR, which brings together experts from around the world, was set up in the Hong Kong Legal Hub to facilitate studies in ODR-related issues. It is expected to see a rise of future cooperations in promoting, raising awareness, and capacity building in ODR. Indeed, the pandemic acts as a catalyst in speeding up the development of reliable, efficient, and cost-effective ODR platforms. Under the principle of one country, two systems, and the Belt and Road Initiative as an international legal deal-making and dispute resolution hub, there are immense opportunities for Hong Kong. The Greater Bay Area is significant for the Belt and Road Initiative. The inaugural GBA legal professional exam was successfully held in July 2021. And after passing the examination and obtaining the relevant practice certificate, eligible Hong Kong legal practitioners would be allowed to provide legal services in the 9 mainland municipalities in the Greater Bay Area on specified civil and commercial matters to which the mainland law applies. These practitioners will be able to provide comprehensive legal services to enterprises investing in the Greater Bay Area. Besides, the initiative which allows wholly owned Hong Kong enterprises, WOKEs or WOKEs, to adopt Hong Kong law had received a major breakthrough in Qianhai. Since October 2020, over 11,000 WOKEs and other foreign-owned enterprises registered in Qianhai can choose Hong Kong law as the governing law when entering into civil and commercial contracts in the absence of foreign-related elements. With the exception of Qianhai, more WOKEs can opt for Hong Kong law. With the expansion of Qianhai, more WOKEs can opt for Hong Kong law. The DOJ is actively seeking Central People's Government support in extending the measure to Shenzhen and hopefully the entire Greater Bay Area. With the Central People's Government support, 4 instruments were recently concluded, one being the Tripartite Memorandum of Cooperation amongst the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission of the State Council, SASAC in short, and the Ministry of Commerce. It establishes an exchange platform in the form of roundtable discussions amongst members of the DOJ's Standing Panel of Legal Experts and representatives of state-owned enterprises and major private enterprises in the mainland to discuss in-depth different legal issues, including those related to the Belt and Road Initiative, thereby exporting our legal services to facilitate mainland enterprises' trade and investment abroad. There are also two specific arrangements worthy of mention. In the area of insolvency and debt restructuring, the arrangement concerning mutual recognition of and assistance to insolvency proceedings between the courts of mainland and Hong Kong allows Hong Kong liquidators and provisional liquidators to apply to designated courts in mainland for recognition and assistance. Likewise, mainland's bankruptcy administrators may apply to Hong Kong's court for recognition of mainland's bankruptcy proceedings according to the common law principles. In the interim measures arrangement signed with the mainland in 2019, parties to arbitral proceedings seated in Hong Kong and administered by one of the 6 arbitral institutions would be able to apply to the mainland courts for interim measures. Hong Kong is the first and only jurisdiction in the world outside the mainland where this is possible. Ladies and gentlemen, may I conclude by thanking the Law Society of Hong Kong for arranging this conference and to bring together such wonderful speakers. I'm sure the conference will provide lots of food for thought and inspiration to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang. Please be seated.
Today, we are very much delighted to have Mr. Liu Guangyuan, Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the People's Republic of China in Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, to be our keynote speaker to share with us his invaluable experience and insights on the theme Global Recovery and Harmony through the Belt and Road Initiative. Mr. Liu, please.
President Chak-Ming Chen, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to attend the 4th Belt and Road Conference by the Law Society of Hong Kong. I'd like to begin by extending warm congratulations on the conference on behalf of the Office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong SAR. Since President Xi Jinping put forward the BRI in 2013, it has been widely welcomed by the international community and delivered fruitful results. Why is it so popular, and how should we understand it? Here, I wish to share some of my thoughts. Number 1, the BRI is rooted in history, but oriented to the future. Throughout thousands of years of history, the ancient Silk Road nurtured a spirit of peace and cooperation, openness and inclusiveness, mutual learning and mutual benefit, and we call it the Silk Road spirit. The BRI, as a global public good, is an extension of the ancient Silk Road. It champions the principle of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, and reinforces connectivities on 5 aspects, namely policy, infrastructure, trade, finance, and people-to-people ties. The BRI follows the trend of economic globalization, and by all standards, it is the right choice for a better future. Number 2, the BRI was launched by China, but its opportunities are shared by the world. The BRI is a transparent initiative and open to all. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres once said, the BRI is highly consistent with the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and is of great significance to the economic development and cooperation of the whole world. Under the framework of the Belt and Road Cooperation, all countries could complement advantages and achieve all win, which will naturally show up economic integration, interconnected development, and benefits for all. Number 3, the BRI began in economic sector, but without stopping there. It now drives global governance reform. We are living in a world of emerging challenges and risks. Fortunately, the BRI offers a silver lining and provides a new formula for improving global governance. It embodies openness, inclusiveness, and transparency, and accommodates different social systems and civilizations. To improve current international order and global rules, we have launched new mechanisms under the BRI. For example, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the Silk Road Fund, demonstrating that we are a community with a shared future and must shoulder responsibilities together. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 8 years, the BRI has evolved from a vision to reality and grown into the world's largest cooperation platform. To date, up to 170 countries and international organizations have signed 200 plus BRI cooperation documents with China. And the trade volume between China and the BRI partners has topped $9.3 trillion. A connectivity framework consisting of 6 corridors, 6 connectivity roads, and multiple countries and ports has also been put in place. Facing the COVID-19 pandemic, Belt and Road Cooperation has not been installed. Rather, a series of new progress has been secured. It is rising and shining with some new features. First, the BRI is a path for collective response to global challenges. China has been beefing up policy support for Belt and Road Cooperation all the way, with the stewardship of the lead of the head of state as a very foundation and various conferences as supplement. President Xi Jinping proposed to build closer partnership for health cooperation, connectivity, green development, openness, and inclusiveness, charting the course for high-quality Belt and Road Cooperation in the new era. China has also held a dozen of international conferences themed around the BRI to coordinate policies, exchange experience, and step up cooperation in finance, taxation, energy, green development, and anti-corruption, boosting the confidence and determination of all countries to defeat the virus, stabilize the economy, and seek development. Second, the BRI is a path for global health cooperation against the pandemic. We have launched the initiative for Belt and Road Partnership on COVID-19 vaccines cooperation with 30 countries, and are working with a number of countries along the Belt and Road on joint vaccine production. We have provided medical supplies to more than 150 countries and 14 international organizations, and offered over 1.6 billion vaccine doses to more than 100 countries and international groups. Most of them are China's BRI partners. During the pandemic, the China-Europe Railway Express has transported a total of 13 million pieces of medical supplies, and the Silk Road in the air has shipped thousands of tons of Chinese medical assistance to the rest of the world. The BRI has truly become a lifeline for the global fight against the virus. Third, the BRI is a path for recovery of global economy. China and BRI partners have opened fast track and green lanes for the movement of people and goods. As part of our coordinated efforts in COVID response and economic development, e-commerce also plays a big role in the BRI. So far, China has carried out Silk Road e-commerce cooperation with 22 partners countries. At the end of last year, a live streaming commerce presented by the UN Deputy Secretary General on the Silk Road e-commerce platform for Rwanda coffee was watched by over 10 million people. Coffee beans, equivalent to the sales in Rwanda in a whole year, were snapped up by Chinese consumers on that very day. A World Bank report concludes that BRI is expected to increase global trade by 6.2% and global income by 2.9%, giving a much-needed boost to the global growth. Fourth, the BRI is a path to unlock the development potential. To achieve the low-carbon transition, we are developing a green Silk Road by putting forth the initiative for Belt and Road Partnership on green development. And the initiative, we will scale up global cooperation in areas such as green infrastructure, green energy, and green finance, and focus more on the environment-friendly projects with high standards and high quality. To harness the trend of digitalization, we are developing a digital Silk Road by building digital transportation corridors and cross-border optical cable information channels, making smart connectivity with new reality. Looking around the globe, countries are leveraging their strengths and pursuing innovation under the BRI, injecting new impetus into the world economy. Ladies and gentlemen, China is fostering a new development paradigm with domestic circulation as a mainstay and domestic and international circulations reinforcing each other. This new platform will provide a stronger driving force, broader space, and better paths for Belt and Road cooperation. Hong Kong is a crucial part of China's domestic circulation and a key channel of the twin circulations. By deeply engaging in the BRI, Hong Kong could contribute to China's high standard opening up and further integrate into the country's overall development. Legal cooperation is part and parcel of the Belt and Road Cooperation. Since many of you are legal professionals, the city of Hong Kong sets a broad stage for you to show your talent and fulfill your potential. I have every reason to believe that. First, legal exchanges under the BRI are promising. Countries along the Belt and Road differ in their legal systems and traditions. Some countries follow the civil law system, some the common law, and others the Islamic law. In Hong Kong, an international metropolis where East meets the West, you can truly be envoys in the legal sector to promote mutual learning between diverse legal cultures and systems, and share your experiences and practices. Second, there is much to do in the legal policies alignment under the BRI. While strengthening the hard connectivity of the infrastructure, the BRI also attaches great importance to to the soft connectivity of the rules and standards with an aim to build an expressway of rules. In Hong Kong, a city with its rules suitable for both home and abroad, you could have exchanges and research of legal rules in trade, finance, transportation, and environment protection. And contribute your share to align legal rules of countries along the BRI and complement their advantages. Third, the legal support is greatly needed under the BRI. Countries along the BRI have different legal environment and development level. Hong Kong, a leading seat of arbitration, is developing into a center for international legal and dispute resolution service in the Asian Pacific region. In the city with fresh development opportunities, you could promote Hong Kong's legal service and provide professional support for countries along the BRI to resolve legal disputes and improve business climate. Ladies and gentlemen, our office has been working for greater benefits to Hong Kong through diplomacy. We will continue to use our diplomatic resources to support the Hong Kong SAR in expanding foreign exchanges and participating in the BRI. We will assist Hong Kong whenever we can in cementing its rules as a global financial, shipping, and trade center, and make our own contributions to long-term Belt and Road cooperation and greater development of Hong Kong. I believe together we could make a big difference. Finally, I wish the conference a full success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. Please remain on stage. May we now also invite Mr. Lee Chung-hua, the Honorable Teresa Jiang, and Mr. C.M. Chan to come on stage to take a group photo. Thank you. May we now also invite our dear guests to come on stage and take a group photo.
我都
你做咩唔講？係啦，我點解睇前面？
冇所謂啦，
我有少少矮，
佢高嘛而家，
矮
佢高啊，拱咗佢。唉，真係慘啊！
邊度可以執到我啊？都唔見喺度啊！高不就高 ，It's too tall. I'm too short. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated.
Once again, we sincerely thank all our guests of honor for their kind support and insightful sharing. This brings us to a close of the opening sessions. We will now have a 15-minute break before commencing the panel sessions. As for the online participants, there's no need for you to log out of the session. See you in a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have now come to the panel sessions of the conference. There will be a Q&A session after the speakers' sharing. We welcome the guests on site to write down any questions you have for the speakers on the question slip in the conference folder and hand it over to our staff. The participants joining by Zoom may also type your questions in the Q&A box during or after the presentation.
Let us now begin our discussion on Session 1, National and Regional Initiatives as Roadmaps to Global Economic Recovery. In this session, our guest speakers will discuss how various national and regional initiatives, such as the Belt and Road Initiative, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, RCEP, Greater Bay Area Plan, and Dual Circulation serves as a roadmap to global economic recovery, enabling lawyers to reflect on and consider how to seize the opportunities and tackle the challenges.
Please allow me to invite the panel chair of this section, Mr. Nick Chan, MHJP Vice Chairman of Belt and Road Committee, the Law Society of Hong Kong. We also welcome the following speakers to join Mr. Chan for the discussion. Ms. Sharon Begum, Secretary, the Malaysian Bar. Mr. Bernard Chanwood Chan, GBM GBSJP, President of Asia Financial Holdings Limited. Mr. Johannes Sahitabi Engel, Chair of International Affairs Division, Perhimpunan Advocate, Indonesia. Mr. David Yu, Chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee and Foreign Related Legal Services Committee of All China Lawyers Association. Our panel chair and speakers, please.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. I was joining us in person and online from Belt and Road jurisdictions. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nick Chan. I am very honored and pleased to be here today with our distinguished panel of speakers. Let's start our discussion with our affectionate Bernie. Bernie is always very helpful. He kind of embodies the spirit of Hong Kong, I think. Can-do attitude, always here to help and be the enabler to make things happen. So, love to hear from you, Bernie, about how what kind of national initiatives we have, regional initiatives, and local initiatives we have. So, many of you know Bernard is also a Thai businessman, but most of us here, of course, know him as a Hong Kong person who has always been contributing locally as a LegCo member, now convener of the EXCO, Executive Council. And he is here today in his personal capacity, speaking for also from his Asia Financial Business company. So without further ado, let us pass the floor to Bernard. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Nick, you start off saying I'm a Thai person. I'm not a Thai person. I'm an actual Chinese person, but with Thai business. Yes. No, my family largely are based in Thailand. You are correct. But we are all Chinese, though, however. Yep. So, but it doesn't matter. I think what the topic this morning about is both at the national level and the regional level. How are we all going to be facing with the aftermath of the pandemic, right? Economic recovery, which largely applies to just about everyone. So let me just off saying that one thing that I've realized doing this, hopefully once in a lifetime pandemic, is the world needs to come together and work together to tackle these global challenges such as COVID-19, global warming, and economic recovery. Now, starting before the pandemic and still going strong is the epic scope of the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, this initiative, I'm sure many of you know, but just to be sure, now spanning 140 participant countries, 63% of the global population, 50% official languages, and about 40% of the global GDP, and 33% of the global trade volume with something like 2,600 projects. Now, it is conceptualized in 2013 by President Xi Jinping and outlined in a groundbreaking framework in 2015. Now, this very ambitious One Belt, One Road plan promotes economic cooperation with countries around the world. The land belt is an overland route linking China to Central Asia to Europe. And the maritime road connects seaports in China to the ASEAN, Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. So under this, the Belt and Road Initiative, China has helped to build and finance large infrastructure projects and spur Chinese firms to undertake large foreign direct investment, FDI, in participating countries. Now, these projects are establishing a mega network of transnational economic corridors, and there are about 6 of them. Multimodal land and maritime routes, oil and gas pipelines, and electrical grids that help China and the participating countries to hedge against risk of single trade routes. And such trailblazing investment and projects can benefit the entire world, lifting billions of people out of poverty. China is amazing, in poverty alleviation. Now, these Belt and Road initiatives have been welcomed by participating nations as they are poised to benefit through joint investments and projects with China, increase trade and economic prosperity for their own countries. Complementary to the Belt and Road is what just now been referred to, RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Now, this might be a little bit foreign to Hong Kong people, but it's not so for the region. This is signed in last November, as many of the RCEP members nations are located along the Belt and Road, Thailand included, of course. This is conceived back in 2011, the ASEAN Summit, the trade pact among these 15 Asia-Pacific countries includes three of the largest economies in Asia, that is Japan, China, and South Korea. Now, RCEP is slated to become the world's largest free trade agreement and trade bloc, encompassing 2.2 billion people, or nearly 30% of the world's population. Further liberalizing goods and services, trade, and reducing tariffs and red tape, RCEP will certainly contribute to the global economic recovery. It would be remiss of me if I didn't talk about Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong's strategic location at the geographical center of Asia and with a land connecting to the mainland China makes it an ideal hub from which to base operations to take advantage of RCEP and the Belt and Road. Now, to use a bicycle analogy, we are like the hub in the spokes of a wheel. So coupled with our renowned strength of world-class financial infrastructure, well-established legal system, and sophisticated trade networks, Hong Kong has a key role to play in advancing international and regional cooperation and market integration. Now, another exciting regional initiative is rapidly emerging. That one we all know a lot about, which is GBA, the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area, in which Hong Kong is so lucky because we are part of that. So the Bay Areas around the world have a proven reputation for powering economic growth far beyond their geographical boundaries. So think of, say, San Francisco Bay Area, the New York metropolitan area, the Greater Tokyo Bay, some of these examples. So with policy support from the central government, the vision for the GBA is to create a powerful engine for nationwide growth by harnessing the collective force of 11 key cities. I think by now we all should know where are these 11 cities. So 9 in the Guangdong provinces, plus the 2 special administrative regions, Hong Kong and Macau. So GBA occupies 1% of China's land area, but account for 11% of its GDP. This region have about 72 million people with a GDP equivalent to South Korea and an average GDP per capita nearly twice that of the mainland as a whole. And the remarkable journey of GBA development is just beginning. So under the outline development plan of mainland China, the GBA aims to be a globally competitive mega region by 2035. By then, the region's GDP will likely exceed the Bay Area of San Francisco, the New York, and Tokyo. It is also expected to be larger than the current GDP of Germany, which ranked 4th in the world. And that's just 14 years from now. So certainly within our lifetimes, I hope. So this means tremendous business and investment growth opportunity, which of course translate into abundance of legal activity and fees for the lawyers in the audience. The GBA has largely been China's laboratory for economic reform and opening, and much of it through market-driven interactions with Hong Kong. The newest stage of the opening involves transforming institutions, rules, and regulations and standards, a very complex, challenging process of which Hong Kong's outstanding legal system is of immense value. Hong Kong, as a global financial trade and business powerhouse, will spearhead China's further global market integration. So, do you still have doubt about Hong Kong? Now, I still believe that Hong Kong will remain as a gateway to China and a bridge between China and the rest of the world, and will continue to do so. An international aviation and logistic hub, Hong Kong is served by some 120 airlines operating direct services to more than 200 destinations. A premier financial center with the world's largest offshore renminbi market, Hong Kong is also ranked as the world's #1 IPO venue in 7 of the last 12 years. So the question now is, in the post-pandemic economy, Hong Kong and China are uniquely positioned to play a pivotal role in supporting other countries' economic recoveries. Now, with the exceptional and wide-reaching scope, whether it is the Belt and Road Initiative, the RCEP, or the GBA, these meaningful initiatives not only stimulate local economy, but also pave the way for global economic recovery. Now, surely this is about connectivity and multilateralism at its best. I want to sum up here saying why legal, when I'm asked by Nick to come and join, I said, well, why am I speaking to all the lawyers here? What's my role here?
Give us some business.
Am I the only non-legal person on the podium? But I have to say, the legal profession in Hong Kong is a major pivotal difference.
You're here because of us.
Of course. Without you, seriously, why would people want to come to Hong Kong? Why want to use Hong Kong? Nowadays, when we claim we are the gateway, well, there are many other gateways. Hong Kong surely no longer the only gateway. But the reason people choose Hong Kong as their base to operate out of Hong Kong to the ASEAN, to the mainland China, is because we have a robust legal system. And without the lawyers in the room, and without that system, we will surely be challenged. We will continue to be challenged by our competitors. So should it be. But the reason that when I promote Hong Kong, I always say that it is because the robust legal structure, the framework, the transparency and the accountability that make Hong Kong different from the rest of our competitors. So why legal and business are so important? We are hands in hand. So I look forward to any questions from the floors and from our friends from the legal community. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you. I'll be remiss for not having mentioned Bernard is also a member of the National People's Congress, serving our country. Sometimes we call him Mo Leung because he doesn't get paid to do it. Anyway, now I'd like to now invite our friends from Malaysia, Ms. Shaharin Begum. So she is the secretary of the Malaysia Bar, a good friend of the Law Society of Hong Kong. We work very closely hand in hand. So she's also chair of the Johor Bar Association. And I think she's also the chairperson of the Bar Council's Women Rights Group. And I think that's a very important role. And so she's going to be here joining us in a hybrid remotely and to share with us her views about how Malaysia tackles COVID-19 and what initiatives they have to share the dividend of Belt and Road and RCEP. Over to you, Shahari. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to Mr. C.M. Chan, President of the Law Society of Hong Kong, Mr. Fred Khan, Chairman of the Belt and Road Conference Organizing Committee of the Law Society Hong Kong, Mr. Nick Chan, the Vice Chairman of the Belt and Road Committee of the Law Society of Hong Kong, and our distinguished panel chair for this session, distinguished panelists and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, it is my pleasure to be here today, and I thank you for the invitation extended to the Malaysian Bar. Although we are unable to meet, mingle, and share our experiences in person due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the wheels of commerce and globalization continue to turn. Certain activities of trade may have stalled or halted over the past 2 years, but we are slowly seeing a return of economic activity. Globalization is, of course, not new. From the 1st century BC, luxury goods from China traveled for thousands of miles along the Silk Road and appeared in Rome. Trade was never merely a local affair, but had already shown to have incipient global characteristics, with coins and other legal tender exchanging across distance and various civilizations. Today, the advent and increasing rate at which technology has and is being developed offers a new frontier of globalization in the 21st century. The world is more interconnected than it has ever been before, and this presents a unique situation for lawyers. The practice of law implicitly suggests a relationship to a specific state or country. In most countries, it is regulated, it has entry requirements, and it requires periodic renewing of practice license. So how does globalization affect the practice of lawyers, and what opportunities does it bring us? The national and regional initiatives mentioned, particularly the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, and the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, RCEP, will bring about increased connectivity between the participating countries. Connectivity in terms of trade and commerce, the opening of markets, development, infrastructure, knowledge, policy, and people. We must begin to think of the practice of law as belonging to a legally interconnected and dynamic world, rather than disconnected fragments within the confines of a local border or territory. I would like to highlight 3 opportunities which I believe we, lawyers, can seize. Firstly, in transactions and legal disputes that cross borders. Secondly, and this is closely related to the first point, in emerging markets. And thirdly, in the acceleration of digital adoption as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. As we build bridges across distances and divides, increasingly commercial transaction will also cross borders. Companies will seek to expand their reach to new markets, supply chains will become increasingly complex, and there will be greater involvement of people, a movement of people across cities and countries to conduct business. National and regional initiatives play a crucial role in creating and facilitating this demand by setting a vision, policy, and roadmap that is shared and agreed upon between the participating countries, while free trade agreements will have the force of law in setting out these arrangements. For lawyers, all of these will invariably translate to legal work. Legal services are required to support the commercial transactions, such as joint venture agreements, license agreements, technical assistance and know-how agreements, legal advice in relation to setting up business vehicles, compliance with local laws, intellectual property, tax, antitrust, and in many, many other areas. National and regional initiatives which are aimed at developing cities and regions to becoming economic hubs will eventually grow into emerging markets with new streams of businesses coming into these areas as development is intensified, thus bringing about more legal work. Even as governments imposed movement restrictions as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were kept in homes nonetheless, but work continued, enabled through an internet connection. This certainly was the situation here in Malaysia. We have been able to adopt the remote working and are more skilled with the use of digital tools. Some of us may have even invested in setting up a more robust infrastructure of virtual connectivity, such as the use of cloud-based documents and practice management systems, video conferencing tools, and the like. So even during the MCO or the control movement periods, firms were able to connect with their clients, with each other virtually. And in some cases, civil matters in particular, the matters were actually conducted virtually. Not so much trials in the beginning, but mainly applications, interlocutory applications, and urgent matters. So, with regards to virtual connectivity, we had use of the cloud-based document and practice management systems, video conferencing tools, and the like. I believe that this has made remote communication more sophisticated, more accessible, and more commonly used. This means that teams of lawyers based in different countries will be able to work together remotely with more ease than ever before. We have talked briefly about the opportunities. Now, what of its challenges? While there are plenty of opportunities that globalization can offer us, there are also significant challenges and barriers for us to overcome in order to seize it by its horns. Firstly, in relation to firm capitalization and size, setting up presence in a foreign jurisdiction is not only costly, but requires high commitment, in addition to needing to find partners in the foreign jurisdiction. A crucial starting point instead for local law firms is to find the support of locally based multinational corporations who undertake work in foreign jurisdictions. For such transactions, lawyers in the home country can be given the opportunity to provide international services such as arbitration, mediation, and other legal matters where they have the expertise, as well as be appointed in foreign projects and to work together with lawyers in the foreign jurisdiction in performing services. That being said, the multinational corporations are more likely to seek law firms which already have brand recognition in cross-border expertise and who are able to deliver integrated services across practice areas and across different legal systems. If we do not have the capacity or the expertise to offer these services, corporations may instead choose to directly engage services from foreign lawyers. Therefore, relationship building between members of different bars and law societies is key to strengthening the capacity and network of a local law firm. Friendship agreements and memorandums of understanding between legal profession bodies provide the impetus for greater cooperation and development through information exchange, market visits, and joint conferences. These activities, along with others such as lawyers' exchange programs, are aimed at providing lawyers with opportunities for exposure to alternative and new markets overseas, to build international networks, and to expand their practice horizons. Membership to an international body, such as the International Bar Association, IBA, also helps in being part of a global network and to keep abreast with legal updates around the world. Change begets opportunity for those who prepare to seize the day. Those who wait to respond may find themselves marginalized in a professional world they do not know or understand. In either case, the future is here. This was a statement made at the Presidential Summit of the New York State Bar Association annual meeting in 2008, and it still rings true today. In fact, with greater relevance and significance, as we live in a world that is increasingly borderless, spurred by the advancement of digital technologies and its adoption over the last 2 years, national and regional initiatives will open new markets, new development, and result in more trade between countries. I hope that all of us today will be able to grasp and seize these opportunities as they come. I will now share a little bit of the experience of the Malaysian Bar. The Malaysian Bar is fairly active in our engagements with the government, including with the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, the Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation, MARTRADE, and the Malaysian Productivity Corporation. We have regular dialogues with the authorities and have put forward representations that government-linked companies should set an example by providing opportunities to local law firms first, that the government should improve the incentives for the export of legal services, and that there should be initiatives for capacity building among lawyers. We also participate in consultations with the government on matters of international law, most recently on the RCEP and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP. In November 2020, we comprised part of the delegation team for Malaysia at the Joint Committee on Bilateral Trade and Investment Cooperation between Malaysia and the United Kingdom. 6 working groups have since been commissioned, one of which is in relation to the improvement of market access in several areas, including legal services. Over the years, the Malaysian Bar has been active in conducting overseas legal market visits. We also regularly receive international visitors from members of various bars, law societies, and associations throughout the year. Now, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, these legal market visits have ground to a halt. However, we are hopeful that these can be renewed in the near future. In its place, we have participated in virtual conferences and webinars. For example, the 5th training course of China South Asia Legal Training Base organized by the China Law Society, a dialogue with the German Federal Bar, and several others regarding the Belt and Road Initiative and arbitration, such as the 5th Belt and Road Services Capacity Construction 2020 BNRMC Global Mediators Conference, and conferences like this that we are attending today. We have also signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the International Commercial Center for the Belt and Road, BNRMC, which among others hosts a regional mediation office for BNRMC in Kuala Lumpur. Currently, we are studying the opportunities, capacity, and ways to promote and establish Malaysia as a hub for the BRI initiative for legal, mediation, and arbitration services, and as a hub for legal services across ASEAN and regionally. We hope that more foreign companies will use Malaysia as a base to conduct its regional or global businesses and operations to manage, control, and support its key functions. We also hope to promote Malaysia as an in-house council hub for international organizations for foreign companies to carry out the management of regional legal services by locating their regional in-house counsel or corporate counsel functions from Malaysia, thus utilizing the services of Malaysian lawyers to support them in the region. With that, I thank you all very much for your attention and for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you. And I wish you all a very successful webinar. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Begum. It's terrific. We learned a lot. I'm sure we could all collaborate more with our friends in Malaysia. Now, next up, I'd like to invite Mr. Johannes Sahatapi Angel. He is the chair of the International Affairs Division of the Indonesia Advocates Association. Please join me to give him a warm hand of applause. Thank you.
Okay, good morning all. Thank you, Nick, for the introduction. Let me try to share my screen here. Okay. Good morning to the President of the Law Society of Hong Kong, Mr. Chan, Mr. Nick Chan, and my fellow panelists, and as well as the participants. Today, I'd like to share with you some efforts by our government to try to improve the economy and try to, basically recover from the, I guess by now about 18 or 19 months of less than active economic activities in Indonesia. One note that I'd like to make, and this I also briefly discussed with my the earlier presenter, Ms. Begum, is that it's really difficult and challenging for the government to strike a balance between maintaining, if possible, improving the economy and ensuring the continued health and the avoidance of increase of the number of the COVID cases. And that's quite challenging because you do want the economy to move, but you at the same time, you don't want people to, gather too many in one place and all the repercussions of that. So it is challenging indeed for the government, but despite that, the government has come up with a number of national economy recovery programs, which I outlined here. There are 4 major items. First one is the state capital injection to state-owned enterprises. So the government is trying to improve and also increase the productivity of our state-owned enterprises. And one of the ways of doing that is injecting more capital for these SOEs, so that these SOEs would then be able to carry out more activities, and the domino effect of that is hoped to be, improving the economy. The government has also taken certain actions in this regard by consolidating a number of SOEs. The most recent one is our port companies. Previously, we had 4 port companies serving different regions. As you know, we are an archipelagic country, and the port companies are divided based on regions. But recently, the government has decided to merge these companies into one company with different divisions. Other aspects of SOEs also have seen some mergers. The mining sector, the government has merged the SOEs. In the oil and gas sector, the government also has merged and restructured the oil and gas companies. And also in the banking sector, the government recently also merged the Sharia or the Islamic banking owned by the governments into one. So we do see this as an effort by the government to improve the economy. The second bit is that the fund placement by the government with the certain partner commercial banks, in the hope that with this, the commercial banks would be able to activate the economy by providing more easy or easier access to funding for businessmen, particularly for the small, medium, and micro sized businesses in Indonesia. Also, the government provides certain loans to SOEs and entities, and also regional economy recovery programs. By regional, I mean regions within Indonesia. So not regional as in Indonesia and the other ASEAN countries now. So the government also has put this in place. The government also now provide guarantees or would procure that an insurance company would provide guarantees for working capital loans by bank. So this again is envisioned to improve the economy by providing easier access to working capitals for businesses in Indonesia. At the more retail level, the government also includes in its program the possibility for banking debtors or finance company debtors, individual debtors, to restructure their loans given the difficulty. As you could anticipate that as a result of the COVID, a number of layoffs have taken place, a number of people put on garden leave, and as I said, even layoffs have taken place. So in anticipation to that, the government does encourage the banks to give some sort of restructuring plans for these affected debtors. And the government also provide the social safety net to the less fortunate ones. There is some sort of cash assistance for families and individuals who meet certain requirements, and this is done through the state-owned banks. So what they need to do now is that these individuals who meet this criteria would go to a state-owned bank, and then they would fill out certain forms, and they will, if they qualify and meet the requirements, they would get cash assistance. There's also this subsidy for loan interest that are designed for small, medium, and micro-sized enterprises, as I mentioned earlier. The other things that the government has done is that there are certain tax incentives due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The government acknowledges that businesses are suffering as a result of the COVID-19, and one way for them to give some assistance to companies so that the companies would be able to survive, and hopefully the companies will not lay off the employees or even shut down. The government provides these tax incentives. These incentives are as follows. For certain individuals and small, medium, and micro-sized enterprises, the income taxes would be borne by the government, meaning they do not have to pay income taxes. These are applicable for certain sectors, and these are applicable for those individuals who earn below the threshold. There's also a waiver of certain import tax, because this is quite significant for companies. Also, there's a reduction of corporate income tax installments by 50%. Now, this is quite interesting because initially our profession, lawyers in Indonesia mostly are in a form of a civil partnership or a firm. Initially, law firms were not included in this exemption or this incentive program. And then our Bar Association wrote to the government seeking that, look, we're also businesses, we're also affected by the COVID-19, and please include us in this incentive program. And after a couple of efforts to write to the government, thankfully the government agreed with us and included legal services as a line of business that will qualify for this incentive. So we do enjoy this, and has been quite a significant effort for us for law firms in general to survive. And there's also this VAT preliminary refund. Typically, before this, VAT refunds are difficult. You can imagine that trying to get money back from the government would never be easy. But with this, the government has eased the process and, in fact, granted the refund more quickly now. Those incentives, though, are only valid until the end of the year. Before, they were also valid for a certain period, but we saw the extension, and at this December 30, 2021, expiry date is also an extended period. If things do not recover as quickly as the government anticipates, we expect that these incentives would be extended. Now, quite recently, it's actually just a couple of weeks ago, the Parliament also passed the law on harmonization of tax regulations. And this is like the omnibus law for taxation. Again, this law is intended to increase the state income by increasing the certain percentages, but only for the highest income bracket for individuals. Under this law, the VAT rate will increase from 10% to 11%, I believe. So these are certain efforts by the government to raise funds for the government to as I said earlier, the government also trying to ensure that the number of COVID cases is low, and one way to do that is the government it has increased the availability of vaccines and also the cost for treating the COVID-19 patients, and that has eaten up the government's resources. So the government does need to raise some funds for itself as well. Now, on the more on the business side, the government introduced the another omnibus law in 2020, in November 2020. It was the job creation law. It amended quite a significant number of laws in order to make it easy for investors to come in and invest in Asia. And one of the things that the job creation law introduced was a new licensing regime, which is more streamlined, which is a lot easier, which is more user-friendly for the investors. That's the hope of the government. It's called the risk-based business licensing. So the licensing for a business in Indonesia would depend on what risks such business would pose to the environment and to the others. For instance, businesses like consulting business, it's a low risk business, and it will only require what you call a business identification number, or NIB in Indonesian. There are 3 levels of risks under this licensing scheme: low, mid, and high risk. The mid level contains 2 sections: low, mid, and mid high. So, and these are all these all have different licensing scheme and requirements. Okay. Now on the regional side, on October 11, 2021, the BIME EAGA Summit 21 was held, and during the summit it was agreed that the following would be supported: the tourism revival with travel bubbles. There's the acceleration of ASEAN's economic recovery and digital economy integration, the completion of Borneo Grid, and opening borders. We do see that in Indonesia, and acceleration of the cooperation in the agriculture sector, and many others. RCEP also is something that the government is keen on. It was virtually signed on November 15, 2020. I think we are still in the process of ratification of this, and we hope that this will increase our GDP for 2021 to 2023. So all looks quite good and positive so far, and hopefully we as lawyers then would be able to assist investors when they come into Indonesia to improve the economy. With that, I close this short presentation and look forward to discussing or responding to questions from the floor. Thank you.
Johannes, thank you very much. I'd like to now invite Mr. David Yu, Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee and Foreign-Related Legal Services Committee of our All China Lawyers Association. David is also the co-founder of L-Link's Law Office, and he is the president of the Shanghai Arbitration Association. Over to you, David. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for your kind introduction. Good morning, Mr. Chen Zheming, the president of Hong Kong Law Society, and my fellow speakers and all the audience who I can see and cannot see. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be here with you. The moderator asked me to share something about the legal profession in China, mainland China, during the pandemic. So I'll start with the first chart. During the pandemic, yes, life is difficult, the world is difficult, work is difficult, or maybe the world is different. If you look at the mainland China, since the outbreak of COVID-19 back to January last year, China government take effective measures to control the outbreak of the COVID-19. If you look at this chart, in February, the new cases reached as close to 80,000. But due to the effective controlling measures, the new cases and new deaths rapidly going down in the following months, and we didn't see the new deaths since May 2020. So comparing to other countries, yes, we are safe, but we are also actually because of the efficient measures taken by the government and the support by the public, we are somewhere in the same environment and back to new normal. And the second chart is shows the exports and the imports of mainland China during in the year of 2018, 2019, and 2020. I'm not an economist, but actually will not discuss about the figures. But if you look at the charts, you can see for the export and import for mainland China, the pandemic does not affect, has little effect. And in some countries, we can see the increase year to year, either in the export or import. So the economy sounds good during the last 2 years. If you look at the outbound investments in the BRI regions, we saw the increase in 2020 for the outbound investments, excluding financial sector. If you look at the construction, it dropped by 7% because of the restrictions of international travel. So overall, the economy is recovered rapidly. And if you look at the import and the export figures, China, it is good in the international trade. And if we look at the legal profession, here I quoted from the report of the Supreme Court this year. In 2020, the Supreme Court accepted close to 40,000 cases and completed more than 35,000 cases. And if you look at all the cases accepted by the Chinese court, it's about 30 million cases. And if you look at in arbitration, we saw the same trend. Sorry, 我正在会议上，请挂断一下。Sorry. I'm sorry. If you look at the cases in arbitration institutions, it also the figure also slowed down a little bit. Two main reasons. One is the parties lower their expectation because of the pandemic, and the second is the courts and the arbitration bodies has closed down for several months during past 2 years. And if you look at the numbers of Chinese law firms, we are still the number are still growing rapidly. In 2020, we have totally 34,000 law firms in China, and about 552,000 lawyers in China. So that's an overview of the legal profession in China, and so what's the recent movement. And if you look at these figures, I think the key words in the past 2 years is uncertainty. We are facing the uncertainty. The country or a city is locked down. And in our legal profession, the keywords is force majeure, enforcement of contracts, how to resolve the cross-border disputes, and in some countries, lawyers may be busy with the insolvency and bankruptcy related cases. So this is the situation we are facing now. And the recent movement in China, as the two fellow speakers mentioned, the digitalization or online. So this is also the key words in mainland China during the pandemic period. And the court system adopted the smart courts, which they use the technology to speed up the court procedures, and the court can accept electronic files. We call it electronic filing or online filing, and even online hearings during the pandemic. And for the arbitration bodies, we do online arbitration, which can resolve the dispute efficiently. And of course, we are facing the new problem. It's about the procedure, whether this existing procedure can support the online filing and the online hearing. And technically speaking, we also encounter difficulties in online hearing, both in courts and arbitration bodies. And for the law firms, we're also talking about the online remote work and video conference. And behind it, it's a digitalization. The law firms in mainland China become aware the importance of technology, high tech. So we saw a lot of investment in the in technology side in the law firms, especially for the large size law firms. And for All China Lawyer Association or ACLA, we did a lot to support our lawyers, our law firms, and our community and our country during the pandemic. For example, for the force majeure, we organized over 30 countries, lawyers in over 30 countries to contribute their expertise on how to deal with the force majeure, but the definition of and the enforcement laws and practice in different jurisdictions, just to help our enterprises to deal with the abnormal the situation. And also we provide the advice and expertise to the government and other agencies on how to resume work back to normal, orderly. ACLA also organized a task force to provide the service, provide the legal advice nationwide on these issues, as well as the employment and other matters. So to summarize, our understanding is collaboration is the most important. It's not only not means that the collaboration is not important before pandemic, but pandemic make the collaboration more important. In the last 2 years, as mentioned, that we collaborate with the bar associations at prevention level or at lower level, and we also collaborate with the other bar associations in other jurisdictions. So looking forward, collaboration is the key word for mainland China, for ACLA, and maybe for all of us. And I borrow this concept from the theme of a seminar we call the Shanghai International Arbitration Conference, which will be held next week. A new pattern and new momentum. So the work seems to aim a new pattern, and where is the new momentum? What's the driving force for the future? So that's a question I would like to, pose to all of us, and we can discuss together. And back to Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So I think we're now, on to our Q&A session. I invite friends to, if you are here in person, you can put up your hand and raise your question. If you are joining us on Zoom, welcome you to enter your questions in the Q&A session segment. I can see them on this device. So any questions from the floor first, maybe? There must be one from our president. President CM, but he needs a microphone. Coming. Or you can borrow mine. I think you should borrow mine first. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for our overseas speaker from Malaysia and Indonesia and China. Very, very interesting comparative study what the government has done for the respective legal profession. And in Hong Kong, of course, our government, the Hong Kong Department of Justice have also done a bit to help with our young lawyers in terms of their employment, in terms of relief. And the Hong Kong Law Society has also put in place a number of initiatives to relieve our members in terms of membership fees, indemnity, professional indemnity, etc. And of course, that has a knock-on effect in subsequent years. And next year, in the coming years, in terms of finances, the Law Society has to actually work harder to get more revenue. But that's actually the way to do it during this period. So the question to the panelists, and including our distinguished speaker on site, what the government can do more? I mean, people perceive lawyers as professional, number one, and they're actually relatively high-income bunch. But what the government can do more to help the profession? Thank you.
Thank you, CM. I don't think we all agree in the high-income bunch, but that's good. I think in some ways we're certainly professionals, but also middle class. So often we feel a bit we're sandwiched. We don't get the support like other sectors do. So Executive Council convener, Mr. Bernard Chen, what do you think?
Does it have to be legal related?
No.
No, of course. I think my esteemed panelists from the various part of ASEAN, each of the country have to deal with their own respective issues, due to the lockdown and economic impact. Now, in Hong Kong, I would say we are fortunate. There is actually never a moment of a complete lockdown. I know my sister lives in KL, and she told me that, correct me if I'm wrong, right? My sister told me that for quite some time, they were in physical lockdown. And so the issues are different from places to places. So Hong Kong, in a way, are very fortunate that business activities largely is intact, except for those that require cross-border activities, whether you are traveling outside of Hong Kong to the rest of the world, or that require you to travel to the mainland. And that is the current impact that I think for a very large part of last year is still okay, because the rest of the world is also pretty much in that sort of lockdown mode. But now that most countries are now opening up, not saying they're successfully containing the virus, it's just that I don't think they can afford to remain closed for too long. I mean, they have to restart the economy. So even with not even with 100% vaccination, they have no choice. They have to open up. Thailand just opened up a few days ago. Now, of course, they are taking a gamble, but they have to strike a balance somewhere, right? So Hong Kong, in a way, is fortunate. We are okay. The question now, because of this so-called physical constraint with the border, is actually affecting quite a large number of professions. I'm sure legal included, because a lot of the economic activities, being Hong Kong as an international city, a a fair number of the business activities actually not local. That requires you to travel, whether you are lawyers, you're an accountant. So I hear complaints from everyone telling me that worse is, I think this is the problem is, I mean, they understand the constraint we are in, but many ask again and again the same question, that is, what is the roadmap? So the number one question I get asked very often is the roadmap, followed with the question of what is the end game? Oh, gee, it's $1 trillion question that I would like to know too. And because what's happening is that people, after 1 year of uncertainty, they want hope, right? And so your question, President CM, is what message and hope we should give our young graduates or people in school or graduating soon? What is the roadmap for the career? I mean, that essentially is the problem today that we are facing with. So I think as law society, I'm not saying that you have the answer. If I don't have the answer, I don't expect you have the answer either. But I think by at least having a dialogue is important. They need to understand that they are not alone. They're not the only one facing with this dilemma. I mean, everyone is, think about it. A year ago, when we were still frantically looking for toilet papers, we came a long way. I have people asking me, why can't you have tracking device? Well, what tracking device? A year ago, we have no idea. I don't know about our friends in Malaysia, Indonesia, and the mainland. In Hong Kong, many complain that why can't we have home quarantine? Why do we force people to spend so much money in hotel quarantine? It's true, I entirely agree, but don't forget, actually last year this time, we were doing home quarantine. We start off home quarantine, but unfortunately, people don't stick to these requirements. And then with public outroar, when they found people wandering around the streets to restaurants, that the government would push to be more draconian by putting people in quarantine, in mandatory hotel quarantine. That sort of thing. So my answer to that is, this whole situation is evolving. We're all learning, not just Hong Kong, the rest of the world, our friends from our panels. I'm sure each country are going through their own problem. I'm sure not long from now, the question in fact, it's just been announced last night about the booster shot. Right? I'm sure the next question is, well, how soon can the rest of us get a booster shot? Those of us, in fact, 2 days ago, I was in a different situation. I have a friend, not a friend, someone from the audience asking, we need to travel to work, right? Why can't we get a booster shot? Why should booster shot be safe for those needed, right? Shouldn't that be, needed, meaning those with the front line or the elderly and so on. Why shouldn't booster shot be given to people who need to travel to work? And my answer to that, well, maybe that will come too. But immediately, I think we need to resolve, we're going to address those who are medically required first, right? So this whole thing is just going to be ongoing. But the key question is having that dialogue is important, having that understanding. So by reaching out to the young people, or in fact, should not even stop at young people, reaching out to anyone is important. I mean, me coming here and to talk to you is important. Just that you know, because I think the problem is there's so much confusion. I won't call it fake news, or maybe more appropriately is misinformation out there. So it's important that we have that sort of constant dialogue to make sure that everyone understands where we are. And this journey will continue. It's not going to stop. I can almost certainly tell you, next year at this time, this thing is not over yet. So I don't have a better answer for you, but I think we're all on this journey together. And you can ask our friends overseas to see what they see and see if they have a better picture. By the way, I just want to share a bit of a joke with you. So while many countries, since among our panelists, no one from Singapore, so we can make fun of Singaporeans, right? So anyway, so Singapore is very good at doing good PR, right? So they announced a few months ago, they're going to live with the COVID. So what does that mean, right? We've lived with the COVID message, meaning we're going to open up. So many business executive call and complain to me, and I'm sure to the Hong Kong SAR government, that why can't we be more like Singapore? They are opening up. Well, my wife's from Singapore, so I rang up, her family and my counterparts in Singapore. Turns out that it's not really the case. They are friendly to overseas newcomers. They have less restriction. They actually did lift the quarantine coming in. But once you're in Singapore, that's a different story. As far as last week, as I checked, you're only allowed two people per table for dinner or any meal, 2 people still. In fact, for many months, school was shut down. They are far worse than us. But somehow, the impression that they gave everyone is that they are now open up. So this is our disadvantage, because we somehow not able to give the impression. And now our impression is actually the other way around. We're shutting down even more. Then the other thing is about roadmap. So they gave roadmap. So I checked with Hong Kong government. I said, hey, everyone is coming up with a roadmap. Why can't we come up with a roadmap? Well, the problem is, I think Hong Kong government is like lawyers. We take everything seriously, right? So the government said, we can't give promises that we cannot deliver, right? Okay. But then look what happened. Every country announced their roadmap, and they keep changing their roadmap, right? Thailand said they open up in September, then delayed to October, now delayed to November. Finally, they open, right? So countries keep changing because nobody knows. So I start to also question about Hong Kong government too. Maybe we should give that roadmap too. And it's okay to change it. No one hold you accountable anymore, because everyone in the world is also doing the same thing too. But anyway, I'm just saying.
It's not an election speech.
It's not. But I'm just saying it's going to be a journey that everyone's going to learn and try and error. And hopefully we'll come to some happy ending sometime.
Terrific. Well, I mean, I think from all the speakers we're hearing, we're using technology to try to, open opportunities. So, China's initiated Belt and Road Initiative. It's about 唔通, right? 5 openness or exchange. People exchange, goods exchange, financial exchange, and so on, cultural exchange. So with lockdowns, Bernie mentioned, it's harder. And Commissioner earlier talked about the Silk Road for e-commerce. So I'd like to turn to maybe our friends from overseas, maybe Johannes or Ms. Beecham. Would you have any thoughts on how lawyers, yourselves, or the government are using more e-commerce or electronic or modern technology to help open up the markets, so there are more business deal flows, less disputes, or we can resolve more disputes. And maybe David could talk about, from a Shanghai Arbitration Association perspective, how you are using technology to help, or how Chinese courts are using technology to continue to see that justice is delivered in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick, if I may respond to the Sir Chan's question, what can the government do more to help the profession? Unfortunately, at least among ourselves here, the legal profession in Indonesia, it's not as advanced as what you have in Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore, or other jurisdictions, even China as well. We still aspire to be a single bar, but in reality, we I don't know what it is, but it's so hard to make lawyers join just one bar association in Indonesia. It has to do with the ego probably of each lawyer. So as a result, unlike other jurisdictions where you are talking about how do we advance the profession, here we're still talking about how do we rectify the problem we have. At the moment we have I don't know, I've lost count of the last count. 40, 45 organizations claiming to be a bar association in India. So we still have our own homework to to do that. And as a result of that, the government still says that the government, the Supreme Court, and the Ministry of Justice look at that, Ministry of Law and Human Rights, they look at that and say, well, you guys need to sort out yourselves first, and you come to us, and we'll help you. So that's our major homework at the moment, and that's what our president is attempting to do now, to move to have the single bar, and only then we think that we would be in a more credible position to talk to the government. So unfortunately, there's no good news on that for us about this, but we're working on it. In terms of technology and helping our work, the Supreme Court has introduced the e-court system for civil cases and criminal cases. But in reality, we do see resistance from the lawyers themselves about this, and also the clients in terms of criminal proceedings. Some clients or parties or defendants refuse the electronic court system. They demand physical presence for their hearings. Now, for civil matters, though, it's quite interesting because in order for us to proceed with the e-court system and everything is done online, the consent of both plaintiffs and defendants is required, which, as a matter of fact, it's difficult to achieve at that stage. When parties are in dispute, it's unlikely that they would agree with the other side to make the other side's life easier. So that's probably one thing that we still need to work on. But in terms of client interaction, inter-office interaction, the COVID-19 has taught us one thing, and that is we can do our work online, and we have seen some firms that they now have taken a different approach now. People are now thinking about, do we really need the office space that we have? Don't we just need the meeting rooms, and then just sufficient office space to cater for people who would actually want to come in? So these things that now are happening as a result of the COVID, and then the technology that help us do our work, including what we're doing at the moment. How could you consider 5-6 years ago that we can do this hybrid, online and offline? So yes, the technology has been there, and
COVID's been good for us in a way. You're saying
in a way,
adoption
yes,
of technology.
yes.
Can we now turn to Ms.
That's it. Thank you.
Let's turn to Ms. Bacon. There's also a question from the audience for you about has there been initiatives to promote and assist women in our profession in your country to help contribute to the economy? Thank you. Thank our Secretary General for raising that question.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for the question. So I will take the question on the initiative to assist women. I'm sorry, can I have the question again? I didn't get it.
Sure. The question is, the full question is, have there been any initiative to maximize the potential of contribution of women labor force to economic recovery efforts, in particular because of COVID-19, there's apparent a loss of women workforce from the employment market. So you can speak from the perspective of a lady lawyer or as a member of the public generally. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So to answer that question, essentially now it is recognized that women suffered really the brunt, quite a serious brunt of the COVID-19 pandemic, both at home and in terms of work as well. And insofar as initiatives to assist We have looked into, in fact, we've already launched an initiative specifically to cater to women members of the bar who would have lost their jobs in the process of the pandemic. And this initiative covers a financial aid where we have now sought contributions from the members of the bar, but also to see if we can provide alternative jobs, refer them to employment agencies, or to refer them to firms who are looking for lawyers. And in fact, our initiative is not just restricted to the female members of the bar. We have also extended that to staff members of legal firms who would have found themselves laid off from jobs and things like that. And in fact, our initiative is ongoing. So we would have to keep going back to the drawing board and deal with issues as and when they arise. And as far as women empowerment is concerned, I think that insofar as the legal profession, yes, there is much work to be done, but we have made progress. And we continue to make progress, because if we look at the membership, or rather the office bearers now, we are diverse and we are equally represented, men and women, in terms of office bearers, and also the constitution and composition of the Bar Council. So I would say that we do keep women's interests in our foreminds. And any particular instances or issues that would affect them specifically, we do. And the Bar Council has also set up an ad hoc pandemic response committee where issues that arise as a result of the pandemic are looked into on an urgent basis. So I hope that answers the question.
Yep, thank you very much.
Would you like me to address you on the other issue as to what can the government do more to help the profession?
Briefly, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So essentially, I actually agree completely with President CM's view that it is important to have a dialogue, a constant dialogue. And that dialogue has to be between the government and the profession and any other agency directly connected with the profession. We cannot have people making policies without knowing how a particular profession functions. So that has to continue, or rather that has to be put in place. And that was the Malaysian experience in the beginning, which is a lot of directives were being issued without really understanding how a particular profession proceeds or conducts itself. And in terms of what more the government can do, we have now migrated considerably to virtual proceedings. So the government could actually look into providing better infrastructures to help equip the legal firms, and also funding for legal firms to be able to upgrade, to be able to meet these changing demands. So that would be my view.
Great, thank you. Let's go now to David. Well, if I could expand and recap a bit. So 97% of businesses in Asian countries are MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises, but they only account for 35% of export trade. And if we talk about having national, regional initiatives to do more together, one of the factor making it more difficult to realize that vision is tax, tariffs, but also people, based on the survey results, saying, oh, if I'm not familiar with your laws, your courts, I don't know, whether I'm willing to do so many deals with your jurisdiction. So, David, what has mainland China done in this regard, and what could you contribute more on? Thank you.
Thank you. So actually, the government paid close attention to the small and medium-sized enterprises during the pandemic, and from the tax perspective, yes, the government do exempt and reduce the tax burden on the small and medium-sized enterprises to help them to resume work, and for some local governments have fundings to those SMEs to maintain the employees and resume back to normal work. And during the pandemic, the government also that's a measure. Stay-home landlords, they'll give up at least 3 months rental for those SMEs, and also the government encouraged private owners to do the same. And for the export, from the import and the export, of course, we have the government actually have the similar measures to help or support SMEs to survive the pandemic period. So I'm not sure whether I answered this question.
You have.
And yeah, a few minutes, maybe I can get back to your first question. It's about the digitalization of the government court and the arbitration bodies. Yes, in China, the government, they invest a lot on we call the online one-stop service for the public, just to connect we call the information islands of each government departments to make them well connected and provide the convenient service to the public. The question where the legal profession is talking about is privacy protection. So this is two sides of a coin. And in terms of the smart court, actually, it's a very dynamic and a very powerful system. It's not only the online filing, online hearing, also includes the voice-to-word system, which can make the recording very efficient. And as well as they have the e-library, which is the assistant to the judge to using AI to review their draft, and even they can remind the judge the logic errors. And the arbitration body seems one step behind. Two reasons. The first is arbitration bodies don't have enough funds to invest in the IT system. And secondly, is to respect the willingness of the parties. Sometimes the parties do not accept online arbitration. And from the law firm side, of course, you have the whole ecosystem or the digital circumstances. So that forced the law firms to invest more in their technology.
Great.
Thank you. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you, David. Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you all for coming. Please give your big hand of applause to our speakers, Bernard, Ms. Mitchum, David, and Johannes. Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to join you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
May I now invite all our guests, our speakers, to take a photo together, a group photo. Now, Nick and Bernard, could you take a look towards our camera this way? Okay. And for the online speakers, please look at your computer cameras. Oh, both of you can sit down. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1, smile. Thank you. Thank you.
We are happy to let you know that during the break this morning, video interviews have been done with the chairman of the organizing committee of this conference, Mr. Fred Kent, and our speaker, Mr. Bernard Chand. The interview video will be available later today on Legal Week 2021 Facebook page. You're welcome to access the video on the Facebook page.
It's now the end of our morning session, and we will take a lunch break. For guests joining us in person, our staff will show you direction to the Renaissance Harbour View Hotel for the luncheon. Please show your vaccination records digitally or printed formats when you enter the luncheon venue. For those joining us virtually, enjoy your lunch and please be back at 2 p.m. for our afternoon session. See you all again shortly.
See you later.